welcome to another Friday night of the Protege Effect. Tonight, Leana's going to show us some cool layer tricks. She's really prepared quite a bit this week, or this last 2 weeks actually for it. So you guys are in for a treat. Just want to say a quick thank you to um, Gerrit from CNC Professional Machines. If you guys need any spares or stuff for your laser, please do contact him. He is on the groups and stuff. If you don't have his contact details, you can give any of us a shout and we can give it to you. Also, thanks to Anna Marie from Procurement for You. She's got a lacquer Facebook page. She's also on most of the groups. She's got a nice catalog with some awesome various products that you can use in your laser cutting business. Just about everything that she's got there you can use in your business. And then a very special announcement. Next week, the 13th, it's 1 year since we started the very first session of the Protege Effect. That accident that happened that became an ongoing thing. So we're going to have a special session next week. You guys are going to get a 4-in-1, so four for the price of one. So it won't be 4 hours long. It'll still only be an hour long, but we'll start off with with Carlo in alphabetical order, and then each one of us, Carlo, Billy, Leana, Raven, will each have a turn, each take 10, 15 minutes, and we will be showing you our favorite
Don't
things that
tell them. Don't tell them yet.
don't tell them yet. Okay. We'll be showing you the favorite things. Um, and there is going to be a big giveaway sponsored by Wowie. There'll be four prizes given away throughout the session. So you have to be in the session to qualify for it.
Mm.
So we'll start advertising it. So don't miss out next week. And you can't get the prize on YouTube. So you need to be in the Zoom session to get the prize. On YouTube, you get Nax. Anyways, Leana, have fun and yeah, take it away. Enjoy, guys.
Okay, so leveling up your layers. Let's start. Um, I was trying to think about a couple of layered projects that I can show you tonight. I'm not going to make anything physical, it's just going to be a design session. So, first off, something that gets asked a lot on the groups is how to do a photo frame, especially a photo frame in layers, one that you can take the photo out, replace it with another one. There's my other family photo. I have my family photo ready for you. So, this family photo needs a frame, and we are going to work in layers, and we're going to set up the design from scratch. Okay, so I made this one 150 millimeters by 100 millimeters. So that is a standard, is it a jumbo size photo now? So I'm going to start with that. Let me just draw a new rectangle, and I'm going to do 150 by 100. Okay. So this is the size of the photo, and then the frame around it, I want to make it about, let's say, 20 or 25 millimeters frame around the photo. So it's a nice big frame. So I'm going to do a contour, and it's set to outside contour. And then I'm going to go to 20 millimeters. Okay, I don't want the rounded corners, so right next to where you can set the distance, there's a drop-down menu, and I'm just going to choose metered corners instead of the round ones, or the beveled ones will look like that, but I just want the metered corners. Okay, so that's going to be the outside of my frame. And I'm going to use Control K to break it apart, or you can right click and break it apart because I want two separate objects. And then I'm going to choose or select the inside one again, which is the size of my photo, right? And I'm also going to give this one a contour, or I'm going to contour it again, but I'm going to do an inside contour of 5. It's not working. Hello. 5, let's say 5 millimeters. Okay. I don't want the photo to be to fit exactly into the hole of the photo frame, if that makes sense. So I want the hole of the frame to be just slightly less. That's why I did the 5mm contour, just slightly smaller than the size of the photo. So again, I'm going to just use Control K to break apart, or I can show you if you right click. Don't click on this one because then it's going to say it's your control rectangle and you won't be able to break it apart. So click on the contour, then right click and break contour group apart, or just use Control K as a keyboard shortcut. Okay, now I'm going to delete this one, or okay, I don't have to delete it. Let's just move it out of the way. So this is my slightly smaller rectangle and this is my larger rectangle. And I'm going to combine those two into a single shape. Okay, so there I have my frame. And you can, if you want to, you can, where's that now? I'm going to use the 2-point line and then just draw in those little corners there. And then you can score those lines to make it look like you have 4 pieces, or if you want to, you can actually go and cut the separate pieces and then just paste it onto another frame. Okay, so I'm just going to power clip that one inside. Sorry, let me just edit that. This is something that you don't have to do. I just want to show you what this is going to look like as a finished product, because I did not do the physical product this time like I always show you. So I want to just show you yeah, what it's going to look like. Okay, so this frame you will cut out and you can score those lines. You can use like a nice veneer wood, or you can use MDF that you stain, or you can use painted MDF, or you can use whatever you like. But this will be the front part of the frame then. Okay, so when I take my photo and I go put it inside of the frame, you'll see that it's going to slightly go behind that. Let's just page down. Go behind. Keyboard does not want to cooperate with me tonight. Okay, let's just right click, order to front. Okay, so it is a little bit, it's a little bit bigger than that hole, just slightly bigger. Okay, then the same size as the photo, we are going to cut a piece of what do you call it, PETG, or like 1 or 2 mil perspex, or any clear acrylic material that you can cut on your laser, and that we will use as the sorry, let me just get that thing out of the way. We'll use that as the glass. So we're not going to put glass, like a real piece of glass, into the frame. I'm just going to, and this should be a very thin one, so preferably a 1.2 or thinner than that even. Okay, tongue twisters tonight, name. Okay,
Yeah, we
I
don't
just
like using
wanna.
glass because we can't cut glass in our lasers.
Exactly, yes. Okay, right. So there's our glassy. So we have the photo, we have the piece of glass, and we have the frame. Okay, so I'm gonna take this shape again. And now I'm going to give it another contour. And I'm gonna do a 10 mil this time. Okay, and it is an outside contour, and then I'm going to break it apart. Okay, so take those two shapes and weld them. Then I'm going to double click to go into node editing, or you can choose your shape tool, or you can press F10 as a keyboard shortcut. And then I'm going to delete those top 2 lines. And I'm going to go back to my 2-point line, and I'm just going to connect those 2 corners. Okay. I want them to be diagonal like that, because then when you slide in your photo, it's, if you hit it there, for example, it's just gonna slide along the diagonal until it fits exactly into that part of the frame. Okay, so this piece, we are going to, all the zoom thingies are in the way tonight. Okay, this piece I'm going to cut from plain MDF. I'm gonna use a 1.2 mil MDF because that's just thinner. You can use a 3 mil if you want to, but then everything inside your frame is gonna be a lot more loose. So I'll use a 1.2 mil for that. So there we have it. And then, okay, I actually forgot to keep the bigger rectangle. So I'm just gonna edit the nodes again and delete that part. And then just make that part straight, sorry, or you can just draw, you can actually just draw another rectangle like that as well. But you want it to be the same size as this one, but a solid rectangle. And I'm also going to cut that out of MDF. Let's make that one a 3 mil MDF. And then page down. Okay, right. Now when you slide your photo in here, your photo is going to slide in, your glass is going to go on top, and then your frame is going to go in front of everything. But if you want to replace the photo, because this is such a, this is like a really tight fit, your photo will fit exactly in there. You don't want to, you can maybe make this like a millimeter bigger than the actual photo, but you don't want to make it too big, otherwise everything's just going to shift inside your frame. So what I like to do is just draw a circle. It's a little bit too big, okay. And then I put it in the middle there. I select the circle as well as the big rectangle, and I do back minus front. So then that little hole just, yeah, that's a hole for your finger, Belle. I see you're going like this. Yeah, so then it's just easier to remove the photo as well as the glass, and you can always replace that with another photo. Okay, so basically we're going to have this one cut from 3 mil, this one cut from 1.2 mil, both MDF. Then it's going to be your photo there, a piece of glass that goes over it. And I'm just playing with the transparency there. Okay, and then this one goes on top. And, oh wait, let me just, okay, those little streepies, I just have to move them to the top. Okay, let's just group everything here. Group, okay. And now move it over there. And that is what your photo frame is going to look like. So layer 1, layer 2, layer 3, layer 4, layer 5. Say, and you have a photo frame. And then you can always add something at the back if you want to hang it up, or you can make a little stand. If you want to do a stand, let me quickly show you an easy way. So I'm just going to draw 2 rectangles, and I'm going to weld them. I'm not even going to do proper measurements now. I just want to show you. Then I'm going to do another one that will be 3 millimeters wide. And I'm going to put it in the middle of this long part. Okay, and I'm going to drop it down to the bottom and duplicate that. So then this one, I'm going to go to the center of that one. So I'm just going to half it so that it's on the top. And then for this one, I'm going to half it and put it in the middle there. And I'm going to do back minus front and another back minus front. And then those two will just slit into each other and you have a little stand. So it's going to look something like this then. It's going to slot in there. And yeah, so it's going to be at a 90-degree angle and you can, oh, you must actually just put something in there to stop your frame from
Just wanted
sliding
to
off.
ask about the lippy there in the front.
I say, yeah, I forgot about the lippy. This wasn't planned. I just decided to quickly show you how to make a stand.
Yeah, then what's
So
beautiful now with the stand that you got over there, once you've got it in the rectangles like that, you can go and you can cut it back and put angles and put funny shapes and stuff. But
yeah, you
I
can go
see
and make it pretty.
people often asking where can they buy it when it's probably one of the simplest things to do is just start make it
Mm,
out of rectangles and then fix it up with little
yeah.
squiggles and things and stuff
I
afterwards.
never knew how to make that, so thank you. Now I can see how it's done.
So that's it. That's a layered project done. Can we go now?
Not so easy.
Okay, so the next one, I decided to try something that I've actually never done before, but let's see. So I googled for a world map, but a very simple. I chose an easy one. Let me just show you. Okay, so I said world map silhouette, and then you get a lot of intricate ones. Like this one is full of extra details and tiny details and stuff, and you actually don't want that because it's going to it's going to be difficult to work with. So I chose one that is fairly simple. Like that one will be nice. I don't see the one that I actually used. It's gone now. Oh, I think I used this one. So just clean lines. There are a couple of smaller pieces, but we can't really do anything about that. So I use this one and right click, copy and paste into my Coral. Yeah, okay, there we go.
Yeah, and I was about to say you can't find the one you found earlier because the world changes at such a fast rate that it's different now from when you got the
Yes,
picture.
nee. Yeah, okay, so this one I just copied from Google, so it's 72 dpi, and I need it to be a little bit higher than that. So I'm going to go to bitmaps and I'm going to resample to 300 dpi. And the only reason I'm doing this is just when I trace it, you can see that those edges are quite jagged. So I resample and it smooths the edges a little bit, which just means it's going to trace better. So I'm going to go to black and white. That looks good. And then I'm going to trace it as line art. So I'm not going to even mess around with the settings. I just want this to be a vector file. That's what I was trying to get. And I think, yeah, there's the bitmap in the back. So I'll just delete that one. Okay, so there I have the vector now. I'm going to ungroup it because it's in two parts. That's the white part. I'm going to delete that. And then we have this one is a group of 26 objects. So all of the little pieces, there are 26 of them, and I'm going to ungroup that so that I can weld it and have a single a single object to work with. And you can go to your shape tool and say reduce nodes, just to have a little bit less nodes to work with. But this is such a squiggly line picture, so you're not going to be able to reduce it that much anyway. So, okay, so now I am going to go to contour. And when I tried doing this today, it didn't want to work. So let's see, I have an outside contour. And I'm going to do 3. Yeah, okay, it's actually working now. I'm going to do 3 outside contours of 8 millimeters each. And for this one, I'm going to do the round corners. It's just going to look a little bit better than if I use the metered corners. It's going to give me these little jagged pieces that I don't want. So I'm going to go for round corners on this one. Okay, so now we have 3 different contours, and I'm gonna go to my selection tool, and then I'm gonna hit Control K again to break apart.
Yeah, this is a nice Austin Powers psychedelic, baby. Going, yeah.
So, if you like to get a little arty and you are struggling to choose nice colors for this, a quick trick that I do is to draw myself a circle and then choose like a nice, let's go for a blue, a darkish blue. And then I'm going to add a contour to that. We don't have to do it as big. Okay, let's do that. Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna do 3 again, and then the color of my contour, I'm going to then choose a lighter blue. So that's the dark blue, and I'm going to choose a light blue, and it gives me like a gradient from the dark to the light. And then you can use those different colors as a nice gradient. Okay. So it doesn't matter if you're going to paint this afterwards, if you're going to sublimate or print or whatever, you can just get a nice gradient going from your dark color to your light or the other way around. Okay, so I want the deepest parts of the ocean to be the darkest. Just have to ungroup those. So I'm going to use the color dropper and just quickly change those. Ek het actually nog nooit met daai color dropper gewerk nie. I always use this one that is in the object properties Docker. I am using a Docker, Billy.
I wanted to say something a long time ago, but I thought I'll shut up this time. I get so excited when people use Dockers. I love my Dockers.
Well, I only have like 3 Dockers that I use, but yeah. Okay, so I use those, and I'm just quickly going to select them and then fill them. That's like that. Okay. And then the map itself, I'm going to use MDF for that. And we can actually just give everything a black outline so that you can see what that's going to look like. Okay. So now I'm going to draw a rectangle around this. And then you're going to decide on the dimensions that you want the piece to be. And you're just going to fit it. I'm just going to fit the rectangle around the map. Let's do it there. Okay. Something like this. And I'm going to take all 4 of these shapes I have, I'm just gonna deselect the rectangle. So I only have the map selected, and I'm gonna group those 4 for now because I want this to fit exactly inside the rectangle. Okay, so I'm gonna draw a rectangle there, select it with the maps, and then okay, and then I'm gonna do a back minus front. Okay, so another rectangle just to this side, select the map again, back minus front. Oops, that was not the map. So I'm just going to do that on all 4 sides to get rid of all the pieces that's sticking outside of that rectangle. I'm going to give this a frame again because I want this to be framed. So again, I'm going to use the contour tool. And it's an outside contour of, let's do 15. Okay, I don't need 3 steps. I only need 1 step, and I want it to be metered corners. Okay, so now we are just going to separate all of the layers. I'm going to make it that color, and I'm just going to go a little bit darker on that, and we're going to go page down. Okay, so now we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 layers basically. And we are going to, okay, we can move that out of the way. And then I'm going to duplicate this thing so that I have five layers, right? So on the front layer, I'm going to delete everything that, oh, everything was grouped still. Okay, let me just ungroup everything there. Okay, so I have my 5 layers, and I want everything deleted there. Okay, and I'm going to delete everything except for the front layer. Oh, that one still have to break apart. Okay, so these 2 I'm going to combine, and I'm also going to cut them from MDF, so that will be like a wooden frame around everything, around all of the blues, right? Okay, and then I can weld that one. So that's going to be the top layer. Then for this one, I'm going to delete, break apart. I should have done this before I duplicated, break apart everything. Okay. Right, so I don't want that layer, and I don't want this one or this one. Wait, yeah, I want that one. Those 2 I'm going to combine, yeah. And then delete this one and delete this one, and then those 2 I'm going to weld. Just want to do them in that light color. And then I'm basically going to do the same thing again. So those 2 will be combined to make the frame in all of them. Okay, now I can delete the top one and that one and that one, and then I can select those 2, combine them. Then we have the back layer is going to be a solid blue one. It's going to be like that. And then this one, I'm going to delete everything except for those two. Okay, so then I'm going to combine that one as well. And just correct the color again. It was that color. Okay, and then when you select all of them and you press B, there's your finished product. And if you cut this from 3mm MDF, you have 5 layers, so it's going to be 1.5 centimeters thick. So it will actually be able to stand on its own, or you can make a little stand for this one as well. And then what you can also do is you can now go and add text, or maybe engrave one of those, what do you call it, that northeast, southwest
Compass. Compass.
yeah, that's a compass, yeah. So you can engrave that, or you can do a 3-dimensional one. You can add text on the frame itself. You can add text onto some of the land masses, onto the water, whatever you can jazz it up in
Or
whichever
you can
way you
make a
want.
circle through each continent and then put 5 different clocks.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Or you can do that, yeah, but then you're gonna have to do it like
Huge.
big. Yeah, but yeah, that's you can really play around with this. So that's another layered one. And then if you wanna be a little bit arty, I'm gonna go with that one again. So I'm gonna choose my circle, the one that I used originally. I'm gonna choose a nice dark blue for this one. And then we can use like maybe a yellow, but oh, sorry, not there. I need to edit the contour here. Okay, so I'm going to go to a yellow, but I'm going to go for like a golden. That looks more green. Does it look golden to you? Okay, let's say that's gold. Okay. So there I have my color scheme that I'm going to work with. And I'm quickly going to draw a rectangle. Let's say we want this piece to be the size of an A4 page. So it's going to be a 210 by 300. I'm not going to do the 297. Okay, so it's 210 wide. I'm going to Control Q to convert it to curves, and double click to or go to shape tool, select those 2 top nodes, and then I'm going to fillet it, or fillet, or whatever you want to call it. And I'm going to do 105 millimeters because that is half of my rectangle. Okay, so I want this, I don't know what you call this shape. It kind of looks like a tombstone now to me, now that I think about it.
The positive word is an arch. The negative one is a tombstone. So
I'll say, okay, it's an arch. Okay, so there's an arch. And now I'm going to have a little fun with the freehand tool. How many of you have used the freehand tool before?
not successfully.
Not
Well, he's going like, Okay, that was not successful. If the mouse is not cooperating. So I'm just freehanding this, and then I'm going to move, oops. I'm going to move this a little bit because the mouse and the freehanding is not working like it together now. Okay. Okay, so something like that, no? And then again, I'm going to use the contour tool, and we can do a 10mm one to the inside. Remember, I said I wanted to be as big as an A4 page. So I'm not going to make it bigger now. I'm just going to rather go do an inside contour. Break those apart. Okay, and now I'm gonna have 1, 2, 3, 4 layers. So I'm going to duplicate this 4 times, and I'm just gonna put one on the side here. If I mess anything up, I can always just go and get it back. Okay, so I'm gonna delete those top 2 ones. And now I can actually use the smart fill tool, ne? Will that be the easiest way to do this?
Yes, that is my favorite tool.
I never use this.
I
Never, ever,
cannot live
ever.
without it. If that disappears, I'm done working.
Smart fill, that's the hack. If there's one hack for Coral, that is the hack because it just solves. I can't even think. I think we can do a full session just on ways the smart fill tool can save your butt.
And this is really something that I never used, but I see now because I was trying a lot of different ways when I was practicing for this session, and I see now that maybe this is actually not such a bad thing to use.
We have a rule
Okay.
that you're not allowed to send any job to be engraved unless you've used the smart fill tool.
But while Leana's busy smart filling this, often when you got these funny shapes and stuff, when you do engrave them, they're not closed properly, and there's other technical things that happens in the background. But when you go and smart fill the shape, generally speaking, 99% of the time, then that smart fill automatically fixes a thing and fixes errors that you couldn't see with your eye that were too small for your eye, and then you know that that shape will be 100%. That's why I assume Carlo them have that rule.
That
Then you don't
is-
end up with these thin little white lines or something through your final design because the laser sees everything. But so I do the same. I do a design, everything lacquer, and then before I'm done, I smart fill everything, switch that layer
Smart
off,
fill
delete the
and
rest, and
nudge.
keep the smart fill
Smart
and
fill
nudge.
and
Yeah.
nudge goes hand in hand. We use it every day.
But Inkscape doesn't have that, eh?
A nice trick that you can actually use if you want to check. Oops. If you want to check if your object is closed all the way around, is to just to fill it with a color, because if it's
Before you do
open
that, Leana,
anyway.
remember to draw a
Yeah, no,
box
that didn't
around it,
work.
because there's one more step which we do is before you use the smart fill tool, draw a small box around it, because if you do have a gap, then the smart fill tool tries to fill your whole page and then Coral
Then it
hangs.
hangs.
So
Yeah.
Now, what I wanted to say is
Mm.
if there's a gap anywhere, then it usually does not color fill. So then you know if it's not, yeah, you have to go and look, and then you can go to note editing, and then you'll also see if there's any nodes that still need to be connected. Okay, so this one, okay, for this one, I don't need the little lines at all. I'm just going to delete all of those. And then I'm quickly going to go to object properties again, and using my color dropper and my little I don't want to say color wheel.
Color swash. I don't know.
Yeah.
Your
My
manually created
palette.
swatch.
Ooh.
And I'm going to select all of those and select all of the layers and press B. Okay, so that dark blue one is the bottom one. I'm going to send it all the way down. Then this one also all the way down. This one. Okay. So like that. And then I forgot, I actually wanted to add another layer. So you see, I didn't have to redraw anything. I just went and fetched my backup thingy there. Okay, so this one I'm also going to do in, let's say the same golden color that we have there. And I'm going to combine it so that it is,
Window.
let's make it a little bit bigger. I'm not bigger, darker. I wanted to say darker. Hello, Sissy. And then this one will go right on top. So there you have a couple of layers, and then you can add some details. So I went with like a midnight kind of theme with the dark blue and the gold. So I'm going to draw a circle, and I'm going to draw a smaller circle. I'm going to put it, okay, a little bit bigger on the quadrant there, and just move it a little bit more to the inside. Let me just make this bigger. I'm not quite happy with it. Okay, so there, move it inside a little bit, do back minus front, fill that with the gold as well, and then you can do a few sterretjies or whatever you want, and there you have a nice layered piece of art. If you take this and we delete the moon and we put in another layer there, you can do that in yellow, and then
That looks nice.
let me just, okay, so then I'm going to do like a light blue, and then kind of shades of orange and almost corally. Something like that. And then you have like sunrise. And then you can go and put in little, let's see, object, fit objects to path. There's my path. I want, let's say 10, fly. And then you're just going to delete those bottom ones. Okay, we can weld those. Yeah, there you go. So there's a day one and a night one.
Circles and squares.
I'll say circles and squares, yes. So there's another nice
Leana,
layered one. And then, yeah.
just quickly, Charlene just asked about how you get all the parts to jump together. So I'm assuming you select them all and they go to the center, but can you maybe just say that quickly?
Okay, so let's just move this one out of the way. A shortcut that I use in Corel a lot, it's one of the keyboard shortcuts that I really use the most in Corel, is when you this is your page, so the center of your page is right there, and when you select any object and you hit P, it jumps to the center of that page. So what I do when I want to line things up is I select all of my pieces, but then this only works when the pieces, when you want them to be exactly centered. So then I'm going to select all the pieces. And hit P. Okay, and now the sun is also exactly in the center, and that is not what I wanted, so that's why I just have to move it up a little bit, because I don't want that centered exactly. And then another thing is, if you have a couple of shapes and you want them aligned, you just see, yeah, you want them aligned like that in a horizontal line, You press E, that aligns them horizontally. And if you have shapes like that and you want to line them up vertically, you press C.
Or you could
So-
use the Docker, then you don't have to remember any commands.
So C, E, and P, then it's one button and done. You don't have to go to align and distribute and do all of that. Just, yeah. C, E, and P.
I still use the Docker when I do that, and every time I use it, I think that Billy will be so proud of me.
You're gonna when I align, I actually use the nodes.
And then, what's do I know? Okay, let me show you. These are the ones that I practiced. So, is it, yeah, that one and that one. So I added a couple of shadows to them. And then they look a lot more realistic. So there you can see the map one
Oh, that
with
looks
the
fun.
shadows. Yeah, so this is more what it will look like if you do the layered project and you layer them, and there's obviously, it's not all gonna be flat, and then you're gonna get these shadows and depth to your design, which looks so nice. So for this one, for example, I will not just stick the moon flat onto the darkest blue. I will put a little something there to just have it like maybe there, to go in between the moon and the blue, so that the moon is not flat on the sky, and it just stands out a little bit. It helps to just create depth in your designs. And this was quite fun figuring out how to do the shadows, because this is not something I use in Coral, because we don't need that
I was just
most
gonna
of
say,
the time.
Leana, do you think you can, in 2 minutes' time, show us how you put those drop shadows in?
Okay, ek sal julle gou wys. Let's go to this one. Just want to move this out of the way. Okay, so on this one, I'm gonna separate all of the pieces. Again, it's just easier to select them separately. And this is something that has taken me ages to figure out how to properly do in Coral. So you go to the same drop down where you have your contour, but the first one is drop shadow. And then depending on where you click, it's going to give you different shadows. So if I click close to the top and drag down, it's going to give me something like that. Or if I go from the side, I'm going to get something like this. Or I can go to the outside, then I'm get something like that. So it really depends on where you click in the shape, and then
Your
drag
first
to
click
get your
normally-
shadow.
Yeah, your first click normally indicates the direction from which your light source comes from.
Yeah. So, and somehow I couldn't figure that out, like a stupid. But anyway, so I'm going to do them all from the left, and then just a little bit. Okay, so a little bit to the right and a little bit down. Okay, so I'm going to do all of them like that. A little bit to the right and down. Sy gaan hierdie muis nou gooi.
That takes.
Okay, a little bit to the right and down, and then a little bit to the right and down. Okay, so all of them have drop shadows now. Oh, the moon does not. Okay, we can do the moon as well. That.
Let's see.
Select everything, press B. Okay, but now the shadows are not lining up exactly. So what I'll do to fix that is just
use the nodes.
Yes, use the nodes and just use the corner on each one. Just go and put them in the same place, and there you go.
Lovely.
Oh, and the moon I still have to just also, yeah. So, yeah, and there the shadows are in. Okay, and then also to just get rid of this shadow on the outside then, because I actually only want the shadows to be inside. So what I did there was I used my original shape, and then I power clipped this one. Let me just group that. Group, right click, power clip inside that one. Edit the power clip and just make sure that that goes exactly into the corner. So outside shadows gone and inside shadows are there.
Oh, that's so awesome. Just see.
This was just free-handed lines, so you can get really creative with something like that.
No,
Yellow?
you can get really creative with something like that. We will watch you do it. But I have a Coral question. So you were using the dropper to match colors and fill. That doesn't always do what I wanted to do. In other programs, you have a match properties button. And do you think I could find that in Coral? That if you've got two shapes or two things, you can just go match properties, and then the
Yes,
outline
there
and
is
the
one.
fill and the everything is the properties are matched.
Yes, Billy, there's a
I haven't done something like
there's an
that actually.
eyedropper, but then there's a color eyedropper, and then there's an attributes eyedropper. And when you use the attributes eyedropper,
let me show you.
you can select what properties you want to apply to the one.
Yeah, because let's see. Let's take one of. Oh, I power clip this now, nee.
Draw two circles and make one bigger than the other, and then.
No.
That's why I couldn't find it.
Because look at this one now. This one already has the drop shadow and everything. Let's give it like a purple outline and make it a little bit thicker. And then draw a different funny shape and attributes eyedropper there.
So when you click on the attributes eyedropper, you'll see on the property bar at the top. Yeah, click on it.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see right at the top left, you've got the dropper and then you've got the bucket. So when you select the dropper, then you're selecting your target. When you select the bucket, then it's what it's doing. And then you have the three options of your properties, your transformation, and your effects. And then you can choose what you want it to be. So you can say
outline, fill, and text.
Yeah.
Size, rotation, position.
So if you put the effects on them, you take the shadows and alles with it as well.
Oh, look at that one.
Yeah.
So if I do that one, then there's the shadow for it as well. And this will actually be a much better choice, Carly, because then all my shadows will be exactly the same, and it's not random shadows.
Yes, funny enough, I use this quite often, the attributes.
Okay.
When I never really.
I've been wanting to ask that for probably 9 months already. And then every time I forget, and then every time I want to swear at myself when I'm sitting in front of a car, I'm gonna send a message, and then it's just something that kept on eluding me until tonight, and I was like, I
Hierdie is baie cool because then you can immediately just. So I can now go and do like a black. I want to see if this works now. I just changed that outline back to black, and I'm going to select those and then use the attributes eyedropper
You gotta adjust the properties though.
on all of these. What properties do I have to adjust?
Whatever you want to carry across, and then when you use the bucket, you have to select the actual line, if I can call it that, the vector that you want it to apply to. So it's not going to apply to the inside, you have to touch the line.
I see. So
I suppose unless you combine everything, but I don't think that's what you want.
if you combine everything, you're just going to lose.
You're losing your layers, yeah. So you're going to have to do them one by one. But you're going to have to go to the properties and the transformations and the effects and turn on what you want.
But still, on. I can do this. And separate them. And then go choose those properties and apply them to all my shapes.
But you gotta touch the line, or you gotta turn on the setting which you don't like. So when you're in your canvas setting, if you choose your select tool and you click on the canvas, and I see you've got that option selected there next to the values of your duplicate distances. You've got that little blocky. So if that blocky is selected, then it should work as a filled object. If it's not, mine's always turned off. Then you got to select, click it on the contour line.
Oh yeah. Yeah, but then you can go and just drop this one onto this one.
You can copy now and then just say, just take the shadows and leave the colors as is. You won't have to change your colors again afterwards. That's
so
pretty
you
cool.
Turn those off. The outline, fill, and text. And
so outline and and then shadow is selected, so I can go there. Choose this one with the shadow, and then apply it. There you go.
It's also taking the outline because the outline is still on. See, does it?
Yeah, that one.
I think it'll be easier if you just move them a little further apart, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, that's the idea. That's really a nifty little tool. I use that quite often, and I use it often if I have to contour text, and I've already done all the words, and I've already joined them, and they are already in curves, but I realize, geez, I need them a little bit fatter, so I don't, and sometimes I just use that and I apply it to all of them.
What you can also do is you take all your objects, if you don't want them, if you're working on like a big canvas and you don't want to go to the center, you can just use C to align them vertically and then E horizontally, and then they will also line up. Okay, the shadows are throwing me out now, but yeah, it's actually just that one that, oh no, yeah, but yeah, then it's going to line up perfectly. So there we go. That's fine. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
But it's not something that I use a lot. Like the shadows, it's not something that I use when designing.
They are quite,
and you can do like 20, 30, 40 layers a piece if you really want to. But yeah. So you can go really, really detailed on it, or you can just do a couple of layers, but it's, yeah.
So the main reason why I love the Docker is because my Docker is always open on the object manager so that I can see my layers. And I actually name my layers, layer 1, layer 2, or give them a number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it's much easier than sending to back and bringing forward. I just manage it from my from my
Object
object
manager.
manager. So whenever I go into a tool when I'm working on a daily basis, I'll go into because the docker's already open. So I'll go to the contour and I'll have a bunch of dockers, but I always default back to that object manager when I was seeing you work tonight without the object manager on, then I start shaking a little bit like this. So that object manager just helps me to visualize everything that's there, and I can see and I can give it some
Funny
names. And
enough,
it helps me to to stay in control, especially when you start
yeah,
working with 50, 60, 70 parts. Then it's hell of a difficult
yeah,
to
yeah.
keep track.
Something which is
Funny enough, I like using the object manager, but I don't like it on the side there the whole time as I'm working, because if I'm moving, because I use control page up or control page down if I want to move the layers, and then it starts flickering on the side just so I always just go back to object property, so that's not happening. So I never leave the object manager open. I go there, do what I need to do, and then go back to object properties.